listening to Life-Sparring, fighting mediocrity one round at a time. Recorded at the brand new Vision PT Gym in Shatin. In the blue corner, the man with a body somewhere between Ultimate Dad Bod and Shrek. Your host, Fabian Groover. In the red corner, already almost as wide as he is tall and still bulking, from Hong Kong, Aiko Little Hope Leo. This is Life-Sparring Round 18. Let's go.
Welcome to Life-Sparring Round 18. This is a very special edition because it's the very first time we are recording on location and not via Squadcast remote recording. And it's also very special because technically we don't have a guest today. We are guests. So we are at the brand new Vision PT Gym with Aiko Little Hulk Leo.
Hey guys, nice to be here.
Let's jump right in. How did you become Little Hulk?
I first started working out when I'm around 15, 16. And then I started it because basically for performance. I was doing a lot of sport like basketball, rugby, badminton, fencing, also 100 meters, 200 meters. So I was doing it for performance, basically. I just want to get stronger, more explosive. And then after a while, after training for 2-3 years, and I look at all the guys in the gym, and I think oh man, all those guys are huge. And then how come I've been working out for 2-3 years and I'm still skinny? I was getting stronger, faster, stuff like that, but I'm still skinny. So I started looking into it, and then, they're doing bodybuilding, and then I was just trying out the sport. I want to kind of try bodybuilding because it's not that genetically. For example, if you want to do long jump, high jump, you have to be really tall, and then basketball, you have to be 6 feet, at least for NBA to consider you. And my height is 5'7". So I'm there's no chance for that. And I started working out as bodybuilding, and then it looked pretty nice. And then I just did my first competition after 1 year of training bodybuilding. And then I did pretty good. I think I got second and third in some junior class and open class. And I just carry on.
And who gave you the nickname? Did you choose it yourself, or was somebody at one point who say, "Hey, you were really a Little Hulk"?
I choose it myself.
You choose.
I don't know. I just thinking what name to name myself on Instagram. Oh, pretty cool.
So you went through all the superheroes and you settled for.
I like Hulk, so yeah.
And you said bodybuilding is not that much of a genetical driven sport. But I think on a higher level it is, right?
It is, definitely.
If somebody walks through the gym door, can you just look at somebody and say, okay, that person has potential, or with that frame, they will never kind of...
Yeah. You can kind of tell, but not really. Because genetics have a lot of factors. For example, the speed you grow muscle, how big can you get, how well you digest food, stuff like that. They're all genetics. But the second thing is insertion, right? Muscle insertion, how nice your muscle look, and then your bicep is short or long, stuff like that. So if somebody walk in the gym, they look nice, but maybe they can't get bigger, right? And then that's just genetics works. And bodybuilding is really not performance based. It's kind of look. So if you look nice, you can still do it.
And as an outsider, I find very complicated is the whole system. There are so many federations. I think alone in Hong Kong, there are 4 or 5 bodybuilding federations. How does that work? If you compete, when you started out, was there kind of that one competition where everybody went, or do you go to different organizations, or how does it work?
There are a lot of competition organization, but the ultimate one is still IFBB, right? So NBA in basketball. So the ultimate one you want to be a pro in and then compete in the future is definitely IFBB. The top people in Hong Kong, they're all aiming for that show. So which is the upcoming December one, global class, and they got a pro card. So basically, you need to win the show. You need to win overall in that class, and then you get the pro card. So when you get a pro card, and then you go do pro shows. And the way it works is you do a pro show, you either earn points for coming second, third, or you win the damn show and then you get qualified to Olympia, which is like the Super Bowl,
Mhm.
right?
And for you, like, what was your biggest success? Like, how fast also did you get really competitive in the Hong Kong circles?
I mean, like first show that I did is a natural show. So they're drug tested and then they ask you to pee in a cup. But right after the first year I competed, and then I directly move on to IBB. Basically, I went over to Korea and then I compete there for classic physique and bodybuilding, just juniors though. But then I got second and third again. No. I got second and first in classic physique and bodybuilding. And then from straight there, I started compete like overseas and then pro shows. I started trying.
And when you talk about the classes, so like how are the different classes structured? So you said there's classic physique, there's the bodybuilding, there's the open class. So how does a class system work in bodybuilding?
Class system works. Bodybuilding, like they count your weight. So the classes is determined by the weight. So for amateur, it's like, under say 70 kg, under 75, 80, stuff like that. But in classic, it's like by height.
Okay.
And every height, you have a weight limit. So say I'm 167 centimeter. And then my weight limit is, I think is 78, right? So every height, there's a weight that you can't cross, right? And then there's men's physique, which is like the, how do you say, like the smallest? Yeah, not a good word, but like the most aesthetic, you would say. But I mean, in men's physique, you kind of wear this like little trunks, like little swing. And then
G-string, basically.
yeah, and there's not much poses to it. There's just like a front pose and back pose, and that's it, right? Whether in classic, you have a lot of other poses like front double bicep, back double bicep. There are a lot of variation, and so is one bodybuilding, right?
And how much is the posing part of your preparation? I mean, I must say I've never spent so much time looking into bodybuilding, but of course, in preparation to the show, I also watched some of your old videos. I mean, you had like some YouTube videos when you did the Mr. Olympia amateur show in Korea.
Yeah.
So, I mean, sometimes it's quite the wrestle on the show, right? Like getting the right position.
Yeah. It definitely counts a lot. I mean, you can have like a really good body, but then poses gonna really count, because it's a proper way of showing your body. And if you don't do the right thing, it's gonna look like shit. I mean, yeah. I mean, like to normal people, I mean, like little things, it doesn't matter. It's still look the same. But I mean, it's like an illusion, So when you get up stage and then say the judge's angle, right? When they look up and the way how you turn your bicep, like your front, and then you kind of turn it back a little bit, it's a really huge difference. I mean, at least for us, right?
So now you are like how many years active in the scene?
Competed for 5 years.
And how do you see yourself develop over time? Do you reach certain physical limits where you say, so that's my bicep now, I can't get bigger?
No.
Because for sure, I can imagine at the first years, it's really you step by step, like certain things take time. And
I mean, I'm still taking time now. Like I can still get bigger. But like recent years, I'm just trying to ease off a little bit because for bodybuilding, you kind of have to do a lot of things, right? So yeah, kind of have to take a lot of drugs to be at the extreme. I do take care of my body, and I mean, I'm taking rest now currently. Just let my organs get some rest, and then later on, I'll get back onto it.
So you're not done yet?
I'm done, yeah, of course. My ultimate goal is Olympia stage, right? For a lot of bodybuilders are the same. So I want to be there, and for a lot of people, they're gonna do whatever it takes, and so am I.
And doing what it takes. So I think that's the interesting part for me about bodybuilding. So I personally, I mean, it's not my own goal, right? It's not maybe also not my own aesthetics. I don't think I would want to look like a bodybuilder, but I really appreciate is the work ethic and the discipline that it takes to be a competitive bodybuilder. And that's one aspect that I really want to dive in with you a bit and hear from you, like, how is your routine, and how over a year, like how much do you actually really take off if you are like preparing, or if you have a event on the calendar, and how many cheat days do you actually do? Can you tell a little bit about your regime?
Say, for example, in off season, right? So basically, every off season, the goal is to grow, right? So, for every show, you want to get bigger and bigger and bigger. You want to improve. So for off season, you really have to grow. That means fat as well, not just muscle, fat as well. So you need to take a lot of food. You need to eat like 5, 6 meals a day, and a lot of calories, a lot of proteins, a lot of carbs. So this 3 months, I mean, for me at least, is the hardest because I don't like to eat and just makes me full, man. Just too full, too full. That upsets me. That upset my stomach. And then cheat day. If you talk about cheat day, I say I do it once every day because I have a pretty fast like metabolic rate. So I mean, I can digest food really fast, and whatever I eat, like I'm the skinny type, right? Whatever I eat, I don't get fat. So I can do it once every day.
Okay.
Yeah. But then, of course, if you're contest prepping once every week, and then slowly when you get into the show, and then you have to ease off a little bit, you have to cut the carbs, you have to cut everything, and you cut the cheat meals as well.
Got the salt.
Not really. I like salt.
Okay.
I like salt. Yeah.
So you don't have to you don't have to really like at the end. I mean, I heard that like a lot of bodybuilders are really like the last 2 weeks or so.
At the end.
Only broccoli and chicken.
The thing about my diet, my method is like I do for me and for my clients, I put them on a high sodium diet, right? The point of that is I'm trying to increase the sodium level and make their body less sodium sensitive, right? So that process, I have them drink a lot of water and do a lot of sodium. So their they keep flushing out, right? And then after a while, as we get closer and closer to the contest, right, the sodium holds water, right? So when we pull out sodium, water is going to flush, right? Because like during the prep, you already constantly keep flushing the water out.
So it's similar like what MMA fighters also, they do something similar, right? They hypercharge, kind of hyperload, get used to, they drink a lot to then later be able to dehydrate more.
Exactly. But I mean, like if that person, they need salt because salt like keep your muscle pump, right? If that person needs salt, I will never cut it, right?
Okay, interesting. And in terms of training, like how often do you work out? What's your volume kind of?
I kind of work out about 5 days, 5 days a week. And then usually I do like a bro split, right? So what it is like, you focus on each body part at one day. Right. So it's not like a push pull or like a powerlifting program. I focus on the individual part of my body, right? So for example, they would be like chest and tricep, back and biceps, and then I'll do shoulder and tricep again, and then a back and bicep again. So 2 back day because that's my weaker part, and then I'll do 1 leg day. Yeah.
And then you do like pack it in one session, or you do 2 sessions per day? Or?
I just do one. Do one. So I don't really do a lot of exercise. Just like probably say 5 exercise for say for example chest, right? And I'll do 2 for tricep just to finish it off, right? So I mean the entire workout lasts around 1 hour, 1.5 hours, something like that. Way too long.
Surprisingly low in volume. I would have expected kind of you have to do more.
Yeah.
Is that typical for bodybuilding, or are there other like people who do like 3 hours a day, multiple sessions?
I mean, that's how it works. Like if you do too much volume, you burn too much calories, you lose muscle. The part about growing muscle is that you don't fatigue it, right? You break it down. So you use heavy weights, you use proper form, right, to break down the muscle cells. And therefore, when you eat your food, right, the nutrition is in and then it repairs, right? So that's how it grows. But if you just keep fatiguing it, like do two, 3 sessions a day, 2 hours of cardios, and then you just kind of burn yourself out. That's not muscle breakdown, right? That's just fatiguing your body, and then you just become more stressful. But that's not growing, right? So you have to put it right amount of exercise on it, right amount of cardio, right amount of nutrition, rest as well, and then therefore everything add up together. That's how we grow, right?
Yeah, and then I think we have to talk a bit about the drug part because I think it's such a stereotypical part of bodybuilding, and everybody knows about it. But I think now it's more openly discussed than it was before. Even
definitely.
Think like even with Arnold, and it took him a very long time until he finally talked about it. But I think in the meantime, it's kind of much more openly discussed. But how big is the role of the drugs? Like, is there really natural bodybuilding? How big is the difference between like really like a strictly drug tested competition and the non-tested ones?
It's it's a really huge difference for your body, because I mean steroids, it kind of increase your speed of recovering, strength, everything, just size. And then if you talk about natural bodybuilding, I mean there are a lot of people who claim he's natural, but he's not. But it's just how it works. I mean, they can get away with it because like for steroids to be undetected, it's really easy. For example, like steroids that is like short ester, lasts about few days in your body, and that's why we have to keep injecting in a cycle, right? So to get away steroids in a blood test or drug test, whatever, it's really easy. A lot of athletes, like not just bodybuilding, like cycling and everything, they can get it away with pretty easy effort.
Available are steroids? Like how difficult is it, especially in Hong Kong? I mean, in Hong Kong, and generally, kind of, it's known for being not the most drug-friendly territory overall.
Nah,
But
it's not difficult at all.
It's not difficult.
Yeah, and it's pretty easy if you get the right connection. It's pretty easy. Yeah.
And so you said kind of right now you're in a cycle where you take a break, where you kind of recover a bit.
Yeah. Because every cycle, before the cycle and end of the cycle, I take a blood test, right? And it shows like, oh, is your liver okay? Is your kidney okay, right? How thick your bloods are, and then testosterone level, estrogen level, prolactin level, everything. And I've been competing for 4 years straight. First years, I was natural, but 3 years, I was using it nonstop. I take off time and I do PCT, right? Post-cycle treatment therapy. But then, I mean, I was never really taking rest in drug-wise and also competing, right? So, like, I checked my recent blood test, and then I saw that my liver and kidney was kind of damaged. So I just want to take a little break, about a year, and then I'll hop back on again. But the thing about steroids is like you really need to be careful, because too much is not always better, right? Too much, your body can't really absorb it. I mean, it's just gonna hurt your organs even more, and then your blood levels, everything. Yeah.
That's the scary part about bodybuilding, right? I mean, it's an extreme sport
Yeah.
in a way, and I don't know how many bodybuilding legends died in the last 3 months, but a lot, right? I mean, almost every time we met in the gym, there was somebody just passing away at relatively young age, and that's definitely part of it, right? I mean, at the end, it's most likely similar like sprinting or like martial arts in that sense, boxing or so. I mean, legends they also normally don't get too old.
The few guys that died are top level of Olympians. So, but I mean, I kind of have connection to them, and I know what they are on. But then, for example, I know there's a guy who take like relatively low dosage, right? You don't need a lot, but I mean, he still died. So sometimes not just drugs, right? There's also like diuretics, like dehydration.
But I always suspect it's also maybe painkiller, because I mean, like muscle tears or something is not very uncommon if you're pushing heavy weights, and that's maybe then also like something that can play a role, right?
Yeah, some guys are okay. Like some guys, they just train carefully and then they just do the right stuff, and they're still okay nowadays. Like they're 50 something, 60 something, they still look okay.
Well, Arnold seems to do fine. Sylvester Stallone looks pretty okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's it helps if you have like the best doctors in town, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
Now you are spending more time in the gym training other people than you're training yourself, right? I mean, I'm one of your clients. That's one of the reasons why we're sitting here today. But yeah, when did you start coaching other people, and how is that developing?
I started coaching when I did my second show. So after I went back from Korea, and I'm like, oh, I should, because I just graduated. I didn't graduate, I dropped out. I dropped out of college, right? And then I need to work, but what can I do? Oh, okay. And then I thought about personal training, because I can just do it while I'm training and all the stuff. So then I went to Pure Fitness, and I first started working there. And then, that's how I started.
And today you're pretty much on your own.
Yeah.
So how
I'm
many
on my
clients do you have? Like,
about 20.
Mhm.
20. Yeah, I mean, if you count those who's like doing contest prep, then
Mhm.
about 30.
So that's like a large part is like really bodybuilders who are doing contests, and then you have like a few everyday guys like me.
Yeah. So I kind of like I want to build a profile as a good coach. I can do both. Like I can do lifestyle training and then also contest prep. So I have to train a lot of people to get there, and then now people just find me on their own. Because before back then in Pure, I have to find my own clients. I have to. It's like sales, right? It's like in bank. You have to call them. You have to ask them, "Are you interested?" And then you have to go around the gym and
You shouldn't do this wrong. I show you how to do it right.
yeah. And then I'll show you. Oh, how about we train together, right? And then stuff like that. And then I realized that very early on, like I can't keep doing this. This just wrong, man. Right? So now maybe I should get back to probably bodybuilding and be better, right? And then I can coach more people that want to do bodybuilding and then build up profile, right? And then now it's working.
And then you started to invest in gyms, right? So we in the beginning. So this is your newest gym. It's a small gym here, focused on personal training, right?
Yeah, small gym.
And so that's the second gym you invested in,
That's the second gym. The first one's Ultra Fitness.
Ultra Fitness, that's where we work out, very close to my office. That's how we connected. So how is that working? So I think here it's pretty early because you just you didn't even do a proper soft opening, right? So that's why we sneak in today. It's still very quiet for a gym.
Yeah.
No pumping iron here. But how is like the first gym partnership? I mean, how is that working for you? This is a partnership with multiple other guys. They're all coaches, or
like half of them are coaches, so about 10 people. And half of them are. It's okay. It's running itself now. So basically, how the gym works is the income basically came from members, right? And also personal training, right? And all sorts of different things. Like we have physiotherapy, right? And then you have to kind of get enough people to join a member, so then the income will be stable, right? And then on top of that, personal training is the how should you say bonus, right?
And then you do your own personal training, plus you rent out to other personal trainers on an hourly base.
Exactly. So that's what the whole industry is doing, right? This gym, like my gym right now, is only focused on the rental part and personal training. Just a small portion of the business. Like Ultra is doing everything, right? It's doing okay in some part. It's not doing okay in some part, but I mean that's how gym works. It just takes times. And the usually small gym like is easier to return profit. The smaller, the rent is cheaper, and if you have enough people for personal training, it's gonna be okay.
I mean, the gym landscape changed quite a bit, right? So like when I started working out in Hong Kong, there were like 3 big chains at that time. There was California Fitness, Pure Physical. And the biggest chain went bankrupt at one point. And now it seems to be more like a real estate play in the sense that there's a lot of smaller gyms opening. And it's more like landlords, they provide the space, and it's more like a franchise system, right? So they kind of sign up for the brand, they get the studio, and then there's kind of some rental sharing agreement. And it's all 24 hours and not much service. So it's very different from those giant like 3-story gym and flagship buildings, office buildings downtown. It's very interesting. So how's the competition? I mean, is it really kind of block by block? Do you really have to see how many other gyms are nearby?
I mean, like we're not the first gym here in this building, so we are kind of the outsider, right? So it is how it is. Like the trend started to change, right? First, it's like a big corporation. All the businesses is like that they handle it, and then now everyone who have little money, they want to open their own gym, and they just come together like partnership, and then they just open their gym, right? Definitely, it's good for a lot of people. They want to open their own gym because it's easier now. But this trend can only last for I don't know, like a couple of years. Because like okay, for example, like 24/7, right? Right. How it works is if, say, for example, you travel to this club for 90% of the time, right? This club is going to get that profit, get that $500 off your membership, right? there are, say, for example, now a lot of gym are opening, right? So say 24/7, and there are two location in the similar area, right? So say, for example, Shatin, and then the next one in Fulton. It's really close. It's like 5-minute rides. But then the bigger one, of course, people are not gonna mind travel 5 minutes, right? They're gonna go to the bigger one, and they are gonna receive all the profits. And that's the flaw about this system, because the other parts, the other gym that's like smaller with shittier equipment, they're gonna die, right? So now is this franchise. A lot of people want to open their own gym. That's good, but you have to have enough money. You have to have a nice equipment, nice space, everything, right?
And you are kind of working more with the personal pull, right? So I think you try more to utilize the trainers, the coaches,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
get people in.
Yeah,
via this angle.
for small gym it's different because you don't really rely on membership, right?
Uh,
So we just kind of do our own thing. Where all our trainer have like all plans based, so we don't really have to worry about that. Plus, like the space is smaller, so you don't really have to worry about it.
Let's do one step back and talk a little bit about your training philosophy. So I work now with a bunch of coaches because I try to kind of keep fit and do something in my lunch break. And I think I'm slowly getting bigger, at least as the biggest I ever was, I think. So that's part thanks to your work, I would say. But yeah, I realized you are doing things a little bit different. So that's the funny thing about like working with different coaches. Everybody has a little bit their different styles. I even had for a few months a female coach, which was completely a different experience for me. But you, of course, you have more the bodybuilding and influence. But I saw that a bunch of things that you were doing different from coaches that I previously had. So one thing is definitely you love those drop sets, right? So pretty much doing something at a relatively normal or heavy weight, and then after doing the reps, then taking weight off and then continuing to push at a much lighter weight, which looks from far away pretty ridiculous then because you pretty much push an empty machine. But that's the painful reps at the end. So that's one thing I definitely experienced you're doing different. And another thing that I realized you do quite a bit, and I've never seen to that extent, is that you like to add rubber bands, resistance bands to bench presses or other kind of exercises. So why do you do both? Like where is it coming from?
I think I like to change things. I don't like to stick to to one thing for a long most of the time. So I like to experience with different things. So this guy in Instagram, his name is Hypertrophy Coach, right? So he come up with everything, and I just look it up, and I take a little bit of everything out of everyone, and I just put it together to form my own training program. But the thing I like about resistance band is that, say for example, you're doing bench press, right, on Smith machine, and you tie it up there. So basically, it creates slow changes in weights when you're pushing up, right? Because like when you go down, when you go to the negative part of your reps, right? The more you go down, the lighter it's gonna be, right? So it kind of takes off the pressure where you're at the lowest point, right? But when you push up, when you start getting higher, and that's the heavier part it's gonna be, right? So what's the most important part of the repetition, right? It's the squeeze, right? So top part of the rep is gonna be the hardest. It kind of emphasizes the important parts, right? The squeeze, and it's the hardest one. I like it because it's a nice change of like tension for every machine. Like for example, chest, like back, when you pull, at the end when you squeeze, same thing. It's hardest one. So I like the tension between it, and then I also like different angles like that coach did. Is that like he did a lot of exercise that have like very unique like angles.
That's definitely also something I realized. Like a lot of grip variation. You do like the same exercise, and every time you use a different grip and a different width of grip.
Try and not make it boring. That's the main part. At the end of the day, you're still working the same muscle part, right? Say for example, a chest press, right? It's still chest, right? But little things you change, it's gonna change a little bit and how it feels, right?
And that's maybe also something that bodybuilding especially kind of is important, right? Because you need kind of that balance, right? I mean, that's not so much important if you work out for other purposes, because I mean, it doesn't really matter if you work all muscles in that region, but in bodybuilding, that's more weaknesses, right? The small imbalances that at the end kind of cost you the podium.
Yeah,
Right?
it's like a sculpture, right? You have to sculpt it the way you want it. I want my left shoulder to be a little bit bigger. It's not balanced, right? And then you kind of like just work on it, work on the balance, everything.
And the drop set part, like where's this coming from?
Drop set is pretty common. I mean, but what I'm trying to do is just trying to exhaust the muscle a little bit more, right? Say, for example, you do a top set, right? So, for example, I do 3 plates on a bench press, right? Of course, you're going to get a heavy rep. It's going to be very heavy, and you're only going to get 8 or something. And then what I like to do is I always drop it and then just keep doing it to get the pump, right? But just more exhaustion for the muscle.
And that's also something I saw in your own prep for Mr. Olympia, is that you do the baby weights, right? So like kind of it's more about intensity and not necessarily about the most heavy weight, right? So you are very kind of focused on intensity. So you want to kind of go to max repetition, and it doesn't matter like how much weight is on the bar.
Especially when you're on prep, right? You don't have a lot of food, so you don't have a lot of energy, right? You can't really push heavy weight. So that's one way to keep the intensity high. It's not just drops, there are a lot of other things like a cluster set, there are giant sets, a lot of things, right? Basically, it's just different variation, different method to get the pump.
Okay, so what's your next plan with me? So where do we have to work next on? So like I'm getting a bit bigger. I mean, I still have the midsection that
I know.
is pretty much the homework that I would have to do.
Yeah, I mean, I told you to be on diet. You told me no.
So I blame the wife. I blame the wife. I blame the bakery. And
you told me. No, I mean, like one thing you have to do for sure is just training. Just keep training, keep on training. You get more muscle. More muscle means like you're gonna burn more fat efficiently, right? Metabolic rate, right? That's what I'm trying to say. You're gonna get higher metabolic rate. You're gonna burn more fat. You're gonna get more and more fit, right? That's the first thing you need to do. Get more muscle, right? Second is you kind of have to do cardio, right? Because you have big belly. You're not that fat.
I'm the skinny fat type. So I think I'm kind of, I have this progression. I was, as a kid, I was skinny. Then I moved to skinny fat. And then I'm kind of, then I had a proper dad bod. And now I'm kind of somewhere in between, kind of like, still skinny more dad bodish, I guess.
You have to do cardio. You can't skip it. Cardio, and then you have to go on diet. So that's what makes bodybuilding interesting. It's not just one thing, right? Powerlifting, CrossFit, it's just one thing. Like you just work out, and then you just do that intensity workout, and then that's it. And then you kind of have to be on diet, but not a strict one. You just have to eat healthy, and then that's it, right? Powerlifter just eat whatever they want, just get bigger and then get stronger, right? That's it, right? But for bodybuilding, it's everything, right? It's everything.
I mean, it's kind of weird because I mean, essentially, I train primarily really just to feel good about myself, to be decently fit in whatever I want to do, to look decent, and but then I mean, I understand that bodybuilding is also very addicting for like everybody who dives in, right? Because once you start kind of seeing the differences, it gets kind of
mentally
you get bugged a little bit, right? And I think that this is also kind of important, right? So is this kind of what drives you, or what do you think kind of like motivated you like to stay with it for such a long time and really to push that hard for such a long time?
I think like mentally it really helps. For example, bodybuilding, at least what I think it is, right? Bodybuilding is not just like look good and everything. It applies to life as well, right? The harder we work, the better you get, right? And then applies to everything, like your jobs, your daily lives, right? Everything, I think. And teach me a lot of things, like, for example, how to stay humble, how to be a good person, how to be consistent to everything. This sort of mindset, like, really helped me a lot on growing in life, like being more mature, a better person. That's deep, but yeah.
I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah, that's why I like bodybuilding so much. It's so much more than just working out, right? There's so much more, and I love every second of it.
And I mean, that's, as I said, that's really what I respect the most about it. That is like this discipline and the intensity over a long, long time. Because it's not something that you can do in a year, right? You can't. You're not becoming a bodybuilder in a year. It's just a kind of lifetime of work.
Yeah.
So what's next for you then? So you're opening this gym right now. So you have the first clients already here. So I didn't necessarily expect that.
Yeah.
So what's next for you? So like more gyms, or are you staying with the two? Like
more gyms? Let me think about it. Because like, okay, for sure, like I'm trying to have this gym more stable first before I open another one. I don't know about opening another gym actually, because I have two already, so it's enough. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's about making money, right? So I'm trying to manage it. If I can't handle it, then definitely not. My first thing I have to do now is I have to hop back on diet, get everything on track, and then I'll compete again in probably next year, end of the year. Yeah.
Good. So then I think we check out your gym a bit, and I think we push a bit since I'm already dressed.
All right, let's go.
This was Life-Sparring Round 18, Bodybuilding 101 with Aiko, Little Hulk Liu. I'm your host, Fabian Gruber. Life-Sparring is produced by Thomas Latter, intro and outro beat are by my Casey producer. More info about Life-Sparring and this episode, including the links to Aiko's social media profiles, you can find at Life-Sparring.com/podcast. Life-Sparring with a hyphen. If you enjoyed the show, please leave a like or a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast from. I hope you join us again for the next round of Life-Sparring. Until then, stay healthy, keep your hands up, and protect yourself at all times.